why I sold my Rolex. I'm going to share with you why I sold it and why I don't regret it. I'll take you back, let's see, 10 years now. Bloody hell, I'm old as fuck. 10 years. Wow. Okay, so basically the story is I always wanted a nice watch, right? So met my mentor, my first mentor in 2010 in London, and then he invited me to Thailand. Okay, so I went to Thailand and didn't really have much by way of financial resources at the time. You know, I started working for him, and then he said to me one day, he said, hey man, what do you want? Because he had Rolexes, he had a whole collection of them, right? And I remember seeing his collection, I was like, oh, I want one of those. And he said, okay, well, first step is what I really wanted was an Armani watch. That was my dream watch. It was like, that was like winning the lottery to me, like having an Armani watch. And so one of the things that he did is he said, if you go to this shop, to this restaurant and eat a whole chicken, I'm gonna give you an Armani watch. All you gotta do is eat a whole chicken and I'll give you an Armani watch. So I went to the shop, went to the restaurant, and I ordered the whole chicken and I ate it all in one sitting. And then after that, he went and gave me the money to buy the Armani watch that I wanted. And that was great, that was amazing. I enjoyed that watch for a few months until the battery stopped. And I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, this is our Armani watch. Why is the battery stopping? And then I went to him and I showed him that the watch is broken. Like, I got to go to the mall to fix this shit. And he's like,
Dude, why don't you just get a Rolex?
and he kept saying that for the longest time. As soon as I got the Armani watch, before it even broke, he was like, dude, just get a Rolex, man. Like, your watch is going to break soon. Then it broke down. And then he told me, just get a Rolex. And for the longest time, I just put it off partly because I didn't have that surplus money to spend on a Rolex. Rolex is like 10, 15, depending on which one you get, right? 10, 15, 20 grand. So I started a hosting company and I made enough money to get a Rolex, like enough surplus income where I could spend that money on the Rolex and not worry about, you know, my money. And so I remember, actually I bought it through my friend because something about my accounts, I didn't have enough in my account, like on my card to buy it, right? So I just wired my friend, and we were in Singapore. I think it was 2012, I think. So we're in Singapore at this shop, and we go in there, and I love it when I go into a high-end shop because they think that I ain't got no money, right? That's what they think. And so I loved it when I went to buy the Rolex. I went in the shop, I was like, Datejust 2, the silver one with a dial. And I saw it, I was like, that's the one. And funnily enough, 2 years prior, I'd literally tried that watch on in Las Vegas, at the Rolex shop in Las Vegas. So fast forward 2 years, I'm in Singapore with my friend, and I told him beforehand, I'm gonna buy this watch. So he already had the money on his card, and I told the lady, I was like, hey, I wanna buy this watch. And she looked at me and she's like,
Oh, okay, all right.
she was very surprised because in Singapore, not many black people there, especially ain't no black people coming into Rolex to buy no watch. My friend's also black too, so he's got the card and he's just like, here you go. And then she's like, oh shit. And then she processed it, got the watch. I remember putting on the watch, walking out of the store, and I kid you not, we're in Singapore, right? We're full of Asian people here. But the first Asian man that I encountered after wearing the Rolex looked at my wrist. Like, I'm just walking on the street in Singapore, he's walking towards me, I'm walking towards him, and he goes and looks at me. The first ever moment I wore the watch. And that's when I realized, oh, this actually has some sort of value in society. Like, this is a high status symbol. Like, now I'm going to be able to socialize with higher status people, you know, make more money, have better access to deals and all this stuff. My head's going crazy with all these possibilities now. Fast forward 7 years, I can tell you, I don't remember wearing my Rolex more than 100 times. I probably wore it less than 100 times in 7 years. And so what does that tell you? Well, it tells you a lot of things. So this is what the video is about, right? So the lessons that I learned from this experience were, number one, what you think is going to happen won't necessarily happen. So what I thought was going to happen was I was just going to get so much more respect, so much more attention from people that I wanted attention from, people who are making lots of money, and just more access to deals and people that are making more money than me. That didn't happen. In fact, on a small scale, like it helped me fit in with my social circle, because at the time I was one of the few people in my group that didn't have a Rolex, right? So I felt like I could fit in and we could all talk about our watches, right? But that was very superficial. Like, it didn't really give me anything, okay? Just like some validation. Actually, what ended up happening was no one really gave a shit. Like, people would see I had a Rolex, but they wouldn't come and talk to me and, find me interesting. It just wasn't a thing that helped with that, So it's like, I thought it would do one thing, but it didn't. Even with girls, like, it wasn't, no girls would ever pass comment on it unless I mentioned it or looked at my watch and blatantly looked at my watch like, hey, this was the time. Like, oh, it's just past 12 o'clock. Like, really shoving it in their face. And that's like, no girls like a guy that's showing off. So didn't actually help with that either. So I was like, yeah. And then the worst thing is, number 3 is actually gave me more worries. Like, I actually worried way more. Now I had the Rolex, I was worrying more. Like, I'd worry about where I'm going. If I'm going to go to, let's say, I don't know, whitewater rafting, or let's say I'm going to go to this crazy neighborhood that is quite rough. I'm not going to wear my Rolex. If I'm going out to get my hair cut, I'm not going to wear my Rolex. Like, I could get jumped, like, I'm having all these fears now as a result of this material thing. Okay, so having a lot of fear around losing what you have, the material possessions that you have, that was a big worry for me. Like, I wouldn't wear my watch in certain things. I wouldn't wear my watch on nights out in an area that I don't know. Like, I just didn't feel safe, So whenever I wore my watch, it was on very select occasions where I did feel safe. Like a dinner with my friends. Like, I felt safe wearing my Rolex there. But if I'm going on a night out, I'm not wearing my Rolex. If I'm going to a nightclub, I'm not wearing my Rolex. Going traveling, I'm not wearing my Rolex. Places in Thailand, I'm not wearing my Rolex there in those kind of places. It gave me a lot more fear than I needed. It was actually taking away a lot from my life rather than adding a lot of value to my life. So that's why I sold it. I was just like, this is value that I can get in monetary terms and use it to invest in something else. And I know there's one of my friends, he collects Rolexes and he says they go up in value. But I was just like, I don't know. I didn't know about that. This particular watch, when I sold it, I actually sold it for less than I bought it for, because first of all, I just wanted to get rid of it. And second of all, it was just something that wasn't adding any value to my life. And I didn't know how to use it as a collectible to increase in value. Like, apparently it didn't increase in value, even though it was a Datejust 2. So I don't regret that decision. This is another thing about regretting decisions is, at the time, I thought that was the best idea, right? So now I know better. Maybe it wasn't the best idea at the time, but I did it. So that's what it is. It's reality. Like, I'm not arguing with reality. It's like, when you argue with reality, it's like saying the sun shouldn't be there, it should be over there. It's like, the sun's over there, I did it, and it is what it is. I can't go and correct it. I can only, moving forward, think about, if I'm going to buy a Rolex, how to use it as a collectible so that it increases over time in value. But I sold it in Thailand, and I went to this shop. It was like a gardening shop, and then in the back I saw them, and then I had conducted the whole thing in Thai. I was really proud of myself. I literally negotiated selling my Rolex speaking nothing but Thai, which was fucking great. For me, that was a really proud moment in my life, because I speak English, it's my mother tongue, and I sold a expensive item, and then I negotiated in Thai, which I think that's pretty badass. So yeah, they tried to give me some lowball price, of course, and I negotiated a higher price. So I hope you found this video helpful. The things I want you to take away from this video is, realize that having a Rolex is just impressing other people. Sure, you're going to be proud of yourself for maybe a month or two, and then it's going to wear off, right? Like, it's a source of pride, I found. Like, looking at that watch was a source of, that's my hard work. That's something to show for my hard work. But then I'm like, why do I need a material object to show how hard I work. I don't need that. Like, I really don't. I got this, I'm recording this on an iPhone actually, and this is the top of the line iPhone. The only reason I got this is because I make content. Like, I don't actually need this, but for my videos, it's best to like have the best quality, right? The ease of it is just I like it. You know, I don't have to make videos on a big ass camera. Like, I don't need that. Like, I just need this. Like, I'm a very simple guy, you know? I want to keep things as simple as possible. Yeah, having something to show, having a material object to show your hard work, I just don't think that's necessary. I think having satisfaction in yourself and happiness and confidence in yourself is more important than having something to show. It's like, why do you need something to show for your hard work? Just do work you're proud of. That's my take on it, right? So when I'm doing these videos, if I'm not proud of them, I don't release them. I make a lot of videos. I don't release all of them. So I'm going to look at this video and see if it's good enough to post. That's what makes me happy and having pride in myself and my work, you know? So rambling on now, but I hope you found this video helpful. My name is Aaron. I will talk to you in the next one. Ciao.